This was on the 15th of September, just gone, and you'd sent an email, your suicide note to Carrie here, your partner, and this was a note that you got at 7 a.m, so you knew this was an hour old.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, you know of his history, you know that he's been depressed in the past, he's attempted to take his own life. How did it feel to receive that letter?
You don't, actually. I know you think that you'd panic and you'd cry and whatever, but it's almost like this drill sergeant takes over in your head. This voice told me, get up off the floor. Why? Because you need to get downstairs. Why? Because you need to get to a landline. Why? Because you need to read this suicide note. Are you sure it's a suicide note? Yes. Is this an emergency? Who do I call? You go on autopilot, and every time the emotion threatens to overwhelm you, no, not yet, not yet, you can't do that yet, you've already lost an hour. Is he dead? Yes, he probably is, but let's try anyway. It's just surreal. I can't even begin to describe what that feels like, but you are on autopilot.
Having had it happen before, had you recognised that it might be starting again or getting to that critical level once more? Or did you miss anything?
Oh, Phillip, we missed so much. I made so many mistakes.
Not mistakes.
Well, you know...
What do you think? I mean, because it's difficult, because people always think, oh, what could I have changed? What could I have done
so
differently?
Much.
Like what, then?
The biggest mistake, and I need to call it a mistake now, the biggest error I made was I judged a crisis by my own mental framework. I looked at the different facets that would maybe stressing us out in life, because Clarke was displaying some symptoms. We knew he was poorly, but I'd think, oh, but that's a slight stress. That's okay. That's manageable. That's not crisis. Not realising, of course, now in retrospect, when you're poorly, everything's a crisis. Anything can tip you over. So judging it by my own standards was the biggest mistake I made. Or even Clarke was displaying signs like sleeping many hours a day, but I was justifying that. Oh, we've got a baby on the way, let's sleep now. And we know, I mean, we've got a mental health charity. We talk about mental health the way some people talk about the weather. I mean, raising awareness for us almost gave us an arrogance.
People who have attempted suicide and gotten close and had those thoughts will know that once you make the decision, it's kind of final. There's no pressure after that. I felt hugely relieved, and then it was all about the machinations. How was I going to do it? How was I going to do it definitively? And, you know, the little bit of awareness that we had, actually, in conjunction with these guys, saved my life. Because I was wandering around Liverpool looking for a way to kill myself responsibly. So I was like, so how am I going to do this so it isn't traumatic to whoever finds me? You know, how am I going to do this so it doesn't have an ongoing effect? Because my last attempt, I dehumanised a truck and ended up changing a truck driver's life. Yes. You know, so coming into this one, I wanted to make sure that I affected as little people as possible, thinking that my family would only have one trauma to go through and then they could live their life in bliss.
And so, thank God these two strangers came along and
they were incredible.
What did they say to you?
Well, the guy, I was just walking into a park in Liverpool, waiting for sundown so that I could do what I needed to do in the dark. And the guy drove past and came back and stepped into the park and said, "Is it Clarke?" I said, I thought that was you. Look, you know your family's looking for you. And I didn't know at the time. I didn't have my phone with me. I'd dispensed with that earlier in the day. And he said, "Are you sure you're okay?" And I said, "No, I'm fine, I'm fine." And he went to go, and then he came back. He said, "No, I can't leave you." He said, "I can't leave you here. I know you're in a bad place. I'm just going to sit with you, and we're going to call your family." And he sat with me and he cried on my shoulder. This guy, and unbeknownst to me, his friend had committed suicide. His friend had taken his own life. I hate the phrase committed suicide. His friend had taken his own life a few days earlier. And he said that he couldn't leave me in that place because he knew what devastation it caused. So he sat with me. We called my landline, which was the only phone number I knew. Who uses a landline anymore?
Yeah.
And my wife was there, and you didn't believe it, did you?
Yeah, it must have been.
It was the best moment of my life, genuinely. I know people talk about the weddings being the best moment of my life and babies being born and whatnot, but that was genuinely, I thought, my thank you, bless you, sweetheart, thanks, Bev. I really thought, you know what, we can do this now. It's all right, because the terrible things he'd said about himself on his email wasn't even the fact that he wanted. I knew he must have been desperately, desperately poorly, But all these terrible things that he was saying about himself that just weren't true, you know. We're such chronic underreactors in Britain. We really are. Oh, we don't want to make a fuss. Oh, is this an emergency? It is. Go to A&E. Strap yourself to a chair if you need to and get the 24-hour mental health crisis team to see you, and they were wonderful with us. Clarke was placed in an NHS hospital that night, unbelievably, and was there for 3 weeks. If I'd taken him home, he wouldn't be here.
So you, and you're here today because you said don't suffer in silence, you have to talk about it.
We have to, you know, you often see people speak retrospectively about their experiences, and that's good, but you're viewing it differently, you know. Right, we're in the middle of this now, and I'm not sat here telling you that I'm A-OK, because I'm not. Some days I'm at a 3, some days I'm at a 7, you know. But what I'm telling you is real, and I know that there are many people out there who are feeling exactly the same as I do, who feel as though they're a burden to their family, that they're not worthy of oxygen, never mind space on the earth. And you need to know that, look, other people feel like that, and it's not true. It's your illness telling you a lie. There are many people out there, not only who want to help and who do value you, but they are capable of helping and loving and supporting you.
It's so true.
Thank you so much for being so open and brave and talking about this today. And just look after yourself. You've got a baby who's going to be here very soon.
Yes, we do. We do. Yeah.
Look after yourselves.